So today I will show you how I have created a mapping data flow and then how I have invoked it. So it will be a little bit a long video. So let's get started. First we have to create a data flow. Similarly that we have created here, I will create a same data flow too. Okay. So first we have to create a add source. So after adding a source here, we have to give some name, suppose customer India. The data set, I have already created a data set, so if you know how to create a data set, you can create a data set. So it will be a data set which is pointing to a CSV. So if you see here, it is a CSV kind of link data set I have created, and this data set is actually pointing to a link service which is pointing to a data lake storage gen 2. So basically I have created three files, uh, two for customer data and one for India data, and uploaded it here. So one I have created here, so you can simply create a India customer CSV file and upload it in your data lake. Okay, and similarly for the UK customer, I've created this file and uploaded it. So this will be our reference for doing this demo. So we will need this data set, and then I've created an order. So all these customers have placed the order. So that is it. And the joining between the customer and the order will be with the customer ID. So we have a customer ID as a foreign key here. I will give all these three files in the demo so you can repeat what I am doing now. If you don't know how to create a link service, you can ping and comment. So I will show you how to create a link service to point to that location. And if you are aware of how to link service, you can easily create a link service which will point to your this data set. Okay, yeah, let's go to the data flow 2. Will point to the India customer data. How to point it? We just created data set. With that data set, now we'll go to the open option. Here when we created a data set, only thing what we did, uh, since we'll need multiple files, we are using a single data set, but we'll be using two different files. One is for India customer, one is for UK customer, and another is for the order file. That's why I made it dynamic. So you might have to go to the parameter, you have to create this parameter file here, and once you create that, automatically it will come here. You have to just click on this file name and it will come here. Okay, so you can say this data set you can use for three different sources dynamically. Only thing what you need to do I will show you how to you do that. Okay, so first I have created a source which is customer, India customers. Then similarly I have to create another source which will be UK customers. Here also we need to select the same data set. So we'll be using one data set for 3 different files. Okay, and so basically we'll do a union of customers files, 2 files, and then we'll perform a join with the India customer in with the order. We'll use the same file. Okay. Now if I go to the debug setting, it will give you an option like which files you want to, since in a data set itself we have made in dynamic. Okay, in data set itself we have made it dynamic. You can go to this debug settings. It will ask you like what are the parameters you want to pass. So for India customers it will be India.csv. For UK customers it will be and for order file it will be order.csv. So using one single link service and data set, I am using the 3 different files like this. Okay, so we have 3 files. So let's delete this. We'll generate again. We'll generate the output again. Okay. So we have created this. Now what we'll do, first we'll perform the union between these two. Let's see whether we have whatever data we have created, whether it is showing the data properly or not. So we'll understand whether the connection has been created properly or not. So basically it is showing me data, but it is showing some unnecessary columns. So let's remove those columns. Let's go to projection and write import projections. So it will keep bring only the necessary data, necessary columns you have in that file. Okay, now it has bring all the file that we have: customer ID, customer name, customer address, and country. Similarly, let's go to the customer UK, do a data preview. Here also same thing is happening. Let's go to projection, import projection. Automatically whatever in the list of columns we have in that file, it will come. Sometimes I think it takes data from the cache, that's why it is unnecessarily taking unnecessary list of columns. So that's what you should go to projection and import projection, then automatically the list of columns will see. So you will see the list of columns for customer files are same. So we can, if we do a union, it will just combine both the data sets. So now if I click on refresh, you will see only the UK customers data with 4 columns. And one more important thing, so you need to enable this data flow debug to view this data preview, since I have already enabled it. So if you enable this, make sure you need just to it will charge you. Okay, so when you do that, you enable it, and once your everything is done, you just disable it. Okay, because when you enable it in a backend, it start the Spark cluster. That's why it will start charging you once you click on this data flow debug. So all the transformation that we perform is actually happening in a Databricks, and it is giving you the output here. So similarly for the order also, we'll see whether we are able to view the data properly. Here also we have the same issue. We'll go to projection, try to import the projection, and let's see if it is happening successfully or not. it is importing the projection. Now we'll do a refresh. Okay, now we have all the three data set ready. So customer data we have, okay, so India customer data, UK customer data, and the list of orders. Okay, so basically what we'll do a union between customer files, India files and the UK files, and then we'll do a joining between customer and the orders. Let's first perform the union transformation. To click on plus, here you will see union. Okay, if you click on the union, it will ask you with what you want to do a union. So we'll do a union on a customer UK data. Okay, now let's see data preview whether it does happen properly or not. Yeah, so now you can see once you have performed this union, we have India and UK customer data added properly. So this union operation is actually happening on a Spark cluster. So when you are switching on the data flow debug, all these transformations are happening in a Spark cluster and it will charge you. So remember that once everything is done, you should disable it. Okay, so now our union is done. Next we'll perform the join. So we'll join the customer data with the order data. So basically there are all types of joins are available. We'll perform a inner join based on customer ID. So let's take the order, because in this join, in this union output, what you already have customer and a union of customer, India customers and UK customers. So when you join, we have to take the order as a write stream. Okay, then you have to perform and we have to select on which column you want to join. So you have to select here customer ID. So basically on the output of this union, which is basically combination of India and UK customers, here I am taking customer ID as the joining condition, and on the right stream, that is order, there also I need to take customer ID as the joining condition. Okay, so now I have taken the customer ID. Now we will see the preview whether it is working properly or not. So earlier we have performed the union operation. Now I have showed you the join operation. So we have basically 6 rows in order customers in order file. So now all those customer file and the order file has been joined. So here you can see the customer name, customer address, everything, and from the order you can see what is the order cost, what kind of details customer have ordered, everything you can see. Okay, next what we'll do, we'll add a we'll perform a filter operation. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll try to filter based on wherever the cost is greater than 5, we'll only consider those. Basically we want only the first 4 rows where the cost is greater than 10. So we have to select a filter here, select a filter operation. So whatever we are doing here, actually all these things are happening in a Spark cluster. So all this transformation that you see here, this is actually happening in a Spark cluster. So what you have to do is order cost, we'll write order cost greater than 10. Okay, so automatically it will come order cost greater than 10. Click on save and finish. Now let's see what is the output. So we'll click on refresh. So now you can see we have only 4 rows here. Okay, next we'll perform a derive operation. So in derive operation means we'll add a new column. So let's add a gender column. Okay, so we'll write gender and we'll give it. Okay, so we have added. Okay, so similarly in a filter operation you can see we have filtered based on cost. Now in a derived column what we have done, we have added one more column. If you see the data preview now, you will find one new column has been added. Okay, so I have already showed you union operation, join operation, filter operation and derived column. Now I will show you what you have to do if you want to write it to a sink. So what you have to do, you have to add a sink. So for sink also we'll be using the same data set. Okay, if you already know, right? If since I'm using a same link service and same data set, we have to give a dynamic name. So you have to go to debug settings. Here in the parameter you have to mention what would be your file name. So it is like output demo .csv. Okay, I've changed the name. Click on save. Okay, now if you want to see the output, here you can see the output, but it will not write it. If you want the file to be written, what you have to do, you have to create a pipeline and invoke this data flow activity. Actually this my ADF is connected to a jet, that's why if I click on save it is saving. But if you don't have, no need to click on save, you can do it on a debug mode itself. So now this data flow part is complete. Now you can see the output, but if I go here at this stage and wanted to see whether the output the demo created or not, it will not create because it is just showing you what would be the output. Okay, but basically in sync will give you the output, means it will just go and write. It will not perform any operations, it will just go and write. So far just a recap, we have performed 4 operations: union, join, filter and derived column. In union we have combined India and UK customers. In join we have combined this customer file with the order file. Then we have done a filter based on the order cost, and then in a derived column we have added a new column called gender. And now what we will do, we will write this final output to a data lake. So that's why we have used a sink. Now to invoke it, you need to create a pipeline. So let's go to the pipeline. Here you need to create a new pipeline. Give some name, mapping data flow. Demo. So here you need to take activity data flow. Okay, and you need to go to the settings. Here you consider the one that we have created just now. So always consider in a general, no, you should not, in a setting option I have taken this. Okay, just remember one more thing, you should consider always small, otherwise they will charge you high amount. Make it as is, only make sure your component size should be small. Okay, there are multiple options are there. So if you select small, it will consider a low low resource cluster it will create. Otherwise if it creates a high resource cluster, it will charge you more. Next, Now we have to call it. So now since we are calling from a pipeline, again you have to give the file name. So for India customer, file name was India dot. Not CSV. For UK it was UK not CSV. For order it was and sync whatever name you will give, that it will be created. You can create output demo not CSV. Okay, so to first you have to create a data flow. You need to go to the data flow and you have to create the first this data flow, and then to invoke you need to create a pipeline. You need to select activity called data flow, then based on the parameter you have to pass the parameter. Let me validate this. Everything is fine. We just not required for you. I'm just saving it since I'm using jet. Otherwise it's basically not needed. You can directly go and click on debug. So you can see it has started executing. Let's go here. So far we don't have any file. Let's see. Yeah, so it is actually working on the file. It will write here. Internally it performs many operations, that's why it will create all these files. So once in the final output when it will write, you will see all these temporary files will be deleted and it will write output demo.csv, a single file. It is still executing. So this is all about the data flow. So it is now it is succeeded. We can go and check here whether our output.demo has been created or not. Oh, okay. I think we missed one settings. You can either select whether you want a default name or a permanent name. Since I have selected a default name, that's why it has written like this. Okay. You can go to the data flow. You can go to the sync. Here you go to the settings. Here there is an option called file name option default. Okay. So if you don't want since I made it default, so since Parquet Write works in a distributed computing fashion, so it has written me a multiple file. So now suppose I want a single file name, so here I will write output demo.csv. Okay, so you have to set a single partition here. So now what will happen if I run it, then it will write to a single file. So what we'll do, we'll again go back to our data lake, we'll delete this to file because we want it in a single file. We don't want it, but it could be there, but as per in the demo we want to write it as a single file. So now let's execute this again. Okay, So what I have changed, I went to the data flow 2, I clicked on the sync. In the settings, I went to the settings. Here I have selected the file name option as output to single file, and here I have written what would be my file name. It would be output demo.csv. Okay, so I have changed in the data flow. Now we'll go to the pipeline. The same pipeline, I will just click on debug again. So just started running again. So if you don't give a file name option, so it will create a multiple file, because Spark works in a distributed fashion, so it writes the multiple files. But now we have used a single file option, so it should write a single file instead of multiple files. So let's see that whether it's successful or not. So now we can see it has created a single file. If I go inside and see the data, so here you can see we have the data with since we have added derived column, we have this gender column being added. Since in order cost, we have applied a filter, like if all the data which is greater than 10, it should come. And we also performed union, right? India and the UK customers. Okay, and then we performed join between customer data and the order data. That's why we can see the order details as well as the customer details. Then we performed filter, and then direct column operation. Then finally we write to the sync, and here is our output. So that's all for this video. I have shown you so it is also successful, you can see here. Okay, so if you like this video, click on like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.